So you're ready to jump into HomeKit and you're ready to invest your hard working money. You're going to be picking up smart plugs, smart bulbs, and other smart home accessories. But before you do that, you want to make sure that you're not making some big HomeKit mistakes. Today, we're going to talk about my top 10 biggest HomeKit mistakes to avoid. Let's jump into the video. Having bad Wi-Fi is a huge mistake. I've seen a lot of people have issues with their smart home not realizing it's a Wi-Fi issue and not a smart home product issue. 60 to 70% of HomeKit products on the market are all Wi-Fi based. So if you don't have good Wi-Fi coverage in your home, you're going to start having issues. There are a ton of different Wi-Fi routers on the market, and a lot of them are going to advertise their speed, but honestly, when you're talking about your smart home, the speed for Wi-Fi doesn't matter. If you're a gamer and you're a heavy computer user, absolutely go for the most expensive Wi-Fi router out there that's going to give you that top speed. But for smart home use, it really comes down to good coverage. You might think I'm crazy. I've actually been using this Apple airport router for years now, and it's quite old. I'm about to replace it, but I have two other airports spread out through my house that has a wired backbone. So it's very similar to a mesh router, and I have great coverage. I'm actually going to be upgrading that pretty soon to this Linksys 5 router that has HomeKit compatibility for extra security and really more control over my HomeKit home. So I'm looking forward to doing that. After having bad Wi-Fi, I think the second biggest mistake that you can make is not choosing to have a HomeKit Hub. Having a HomeKit Hub is going to allow you to do automations with your home, and most importantly, control your smart home even when you're not. And with Apple's end-to-end encryption, this will assure you that no one else has access to your smart home except for yourself and any authorized family members. Plus, if you start having HomeKit cameras with HomeKit Secure Video, your HomeKit Hub is going to be the local processor. So all your footage is going to be processed locally on your HomeKit Hub, not sending off that work to another server. There are 4 HomeKit Hubs that you can choose from. You can have multiples of all these hubs or just have one depending on the size of your house. You can choose from having the original HomePod. If you have a leftover old iPad that's I think it's running iOS 13 above, you can turn that into a HomeKit Hub. You can also use an Apple TV. I think it's 4th generation or better. And of course, the most affordable and newest HomePod Mini, coming in at only $99. Having a home on full automation is the holy grail of having a smart home, but not thinking about those automations ahead of time is a huge mistake. Not only do you want to plan out each automations, but you want to see how it was going to work in real life. I remember this one time where I had an automation for a motion sensor turn on the light in the family room as someone walked in. The only issue I didn't think about is if I was sitting on the couch and turned off the lights and a second person would walk in, the lights would turn on as I'm watching TV. Hey! Now, a lot of the problems with these automations can easily be fixed using apps like the Eve app or the Home Plus. I think it's a 5 now, Home Plus app, where you can have conditions. So you can say if one device is on and the motion sensor sees motion and they see the TV on, it won't turn on the light. Now, this won't work for every single scenario, but I'm just trying to explain how you could set this up and think about your automations ahead of time. Now, having automations is a wonderful thing, but there is a such thing of having too many automations. In your Home app, yes, you can have lists of all your automations, and unfortunately, currently, there's no way to find one. So if you have 100 of them, you're not going to be able to search for it. Now, a pro tip, if you get the Home Plus app, it's a Home Plus 5 now, you actually have the ability to search for your automations, which I think is very cool. In addition to the new searching feature, in the Home Plus 5 app, you can now create folders for your automations to help you organize your automations even further. But the thing is when you start having too many automations, not only are they hard to locate when you need to work on them, but they start just overlapping, working against each other, and you're just going to have this a smart home that's just a complete chaos. So you really want to think about your automations and have as few as possible, but at the same time, you want enough to have that smart home. Another thing to think about is where you're placing those automations. If you're using the Home app exclusively, that's great. You're not going to have any issues. But if you're starting to get into more advanced things, you might have automations in other third-party apps like the Philips Hue app. And those are great. There's very specific things for those products. But the thing is, you tend to forget that you created that automation. So years later, you start having issues or you want to change things and you actually forget that you create that automation in a different app. So my advice to you is definitely concentrate in putting them all in one place. Use the Home Plus app or the Eve app, which is all connected to the Home app. But if you do want to get more advanced, start writing them down. Keep track of where you're placing them and what you're doing with all of them. Now, I see a lot of smart homes where people don't use any automations, and I don't completely understand why. They use Siri, they use her as a control, but the holy grail of having a smart home is to have the home work for you and be automated. My suggestion for basic automations is, for instance, a very simple timer. If you have outdoor lighting, you want to turn that on at sunset and then turn it off at sunrise. Very simple. There's no additional devices needed. You want to then take that to one next step up where you can start getting some triggers where you can have like motion sensors, door sensors, start triggering other devices in your home automatically. So as you're walking into a room or you're opening up the door, lights will automatically turn on. And then you can also think about your safety and security. For instance, say that you have some HomeKit door locks. You can say every night at 10 o'clock, you can automatically lock all your doors. Or if you want to start using NFC tags, that's another great idea, is when you have a good night scene, you can be in bed, hit the NFC tag, it'll lock your doors, turn off all your lights, and shut down the house for the night. And of course, you can group a lot of these automations together, otherwise known as scenes. So definitely take advantage of scenes within HomeKit. Now, of course, the holy grail is having a fully autonomous smart home, but unfortunately in today's world, most people are still going to need physical controls, and not having these physical controls are definitely going to start pissing people off. I know from firsthand experience. Now, having wired switches is just one of the very first things that you can do for physical controls. You might not want to mess with electricity, which I totally understand, or hire an electrician, which can be extremely expensive. So there's other options for wireless physical controls. Some of the ones that I have is the Aqara line. This is a double switch, so you have two switches. You can do one click, two click, or two clicks together. There's like 6 different commands you can do all with this one device. They have a mini switch. Flick has their little mini switches. There are lots and lots of different choices that you pick from, but I highly suggest that you do have some type of physical control in your house. Now, having smart bulbs is one of the first things that most people buy. They're super affordable, they're useful, they're colorful, and you can install a smart bulb in less than 10 seconds. The thing is, a smart bulb is not for every single location where you have a light socket. Unfortunately, a lot of people make this mistake and buy hundreds and hundreds of dollars of smart bulbs, and I don't understand why. There are definitely reasons to get a smart bulb, but in most cases, unless you need a color smart bulb, a smart switch is a wiser investment, where one smart switch can control a bunch of regular bulbs. So my suggestion, if you have 2 or more bulbs on a light switch, look at replacing a light switch instead of the bulb. There are a lot of great choices for smart switches in the HomeKit ecosystem. Miros is one of the most recent ones that has joined HomeKit. They come in like at 25 bucks. Extremely affordable. There's other options out on the market depending on what you're looking for. Eve makes one that has no moving parts. It's just like a, I forget the name of it, but you can just touch it, turns on and off. There's no physical moving parts, which I think is pretty cool. The list goes on and on. I'll leave a link down below where you can actually see some of these different types of smart switches. Not utilizing smart plugs is the next biggest mistake. I think smart plugs are affordable, they're easy, they don't cause any damage. You can plug them in, plug them out, you can move them, but A lot of people don't realize what they can actually do for your smart home. I see a lot of people buying new HomeKit devices because they want to have that HomeKit integration, where you might already have a device within your home. Like if you have a humidifier, you don't need to buy a new humidifier with HomeKit compatibility. You just simply get a smart plug to turn it on and off and be done. Smart plugs can also be used on devices that you tend to leave on accidentally. For instance, maybe the hair iron that the wife always leaves on. The thing is, you do want to check the amperage to make sure the amperage from the hair iron doesn't exceed the smart plug. But having something like a smart plug in the bathroom is definitely ideal, so when they leave the house, you can make sure that hair iron is actually off. And of course, if you have a lamp with multiple bulbs, it's more cost effective just to add a smart plug rather than changing all the bulbs within that lamp. Now, as you're building a HomeKit home, you're going to start bringing in products from different manufacturers. Unfortunately, Apple doesn't make HomeKit products except for their HomePods. So you're going to be buying from this brand, and bringing it all together in your HomeKit home. Now, if you can use HomeKit exclusively, that's going to be your best solution. But unfortunately, there are some products that you have to or want to use their third-party app. So you have to make a user ID, you have to give them access to your HomeKit home, and that can definitely open up some concerns. What access do they have to your home data? What access do they have to your network? So there are definitely some solutions that you can take to limit your exposure and not make this mistake. Having good password management is the very first step that you want to take. You want to make sure you're using different passwords for different manufacturers. Don't use the same password. It's too easy to know your username and password to log into another account. Use different passwords, use a password keeper, but definitely keep those passwords different. Another thing that I suggest is that you have network segregation. That way you have all your smart home products all on one Wi-Fi network, where then you have your computers, your phones, and more secure stuff on another network. A lot of network Wi-Fi routers out there have multiple SSIDs where you can create other network, where a lot of times it's called like a guest network. So you can have one network that's for all your secure stuff, and then have a second network with the same router for all your smart home. That helps to segregate all your smart home stuff away from all the personal stuff. So if someone hacks into your smart home network, they're not going to easily be able to get into your personal data on the other network. And with HomeKit routers now coming out, you can now actually allow your HomeKit data to be monitored. So having a HomeKit router is a huge plus. Now, I haven't got into my Linksys 5 router yet, but I'm going to do that in the very near future. So definitely stay forward to seeing that video come out. So number 10 on my list is not doing the research. You definitely want to research each product, watch reviews here on YouTube, go read some articles. There's a lot of great information on these products and how to set up your smart home. Just jumping right into it. Yes, it's part of the fun, but you also want to know what you're doing. Not only is this going to save you a lot of time in the process of building your smart home, but it's going to save you a ton of money in the long run. Of course, obviously, watch this channel for all these great reviews and how-tos on HomeKit, but I'll also leave a list down below to some other creators here on YouTube and some other websites that I think you should definitely read up on. Now, most of these mistakes are basic and for beginners, but if you're more advanced, one of the biggest HomeKit mistakes that I personally did was not getting into Hoobs and Homebridge sooner. I actually had products from other non-HomeKit manufacturers, and not using those products in HomeKit was a huge mistake. If I could go back 2 or 3 years, I would have bought Hoobs and Starling Hub years ago and integrated within my HomeKit home like I do now. Having these products here in the house that I can actually use now in my HomeKit app is amazing. So even though it's not the most secure thing, it's not a certified HomeKit product, having Hoobs and the Starling Hub is a huge plus in my book. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got some value out of that. If you're new here, I hope you would consider subscribing. I put out HomeKit videos all the time, so definitely hit that subscribe button so you get notified of new videos when I put them out. Thank you to all my Patreon members. These guys are amazing. If you guys want to see the next video in my HomeKit series, check out that video right there, and I will see you guys later.
No, nothing can break me.